Okay, this lesson is going to be all about ratios, proportions, conversions, percents. So we're going to use our solving equation skills in context. So first things first, let's think about what even is a ratio. So a ratio, remember, is a conversion of two numbers or quantities. Okay, we can write these in a number of ways. Our fractions can be written as something over top of something else. Remember, that's what a fraction looks like. Words, that key word is two, and we can also write it with the colon representation. So that's those dot dots. I've got a number of examples underneath here, so let's try a few. For my ratio, let's see, my ratio in this case is going to be dollars to apples. So in my fraction, I'm going to have 3 to 8. And in my colon, I would do dollars to apples. So in this case, I am doing 3 to 8. All right. How about kilometers per hour? So we did a bunch of this in one of our previous units, kilometers to hour. So we've got 40 to 1. So in my colon, I would have 40 to 1. And that's representing my kilometers to hour. Let's do a few more. We've got 15 girls versus 14 boys. So in fractions, we'd have 15 to 14. 15 dot dot 14. So there's my colon. 569 words in 2 minutes would give me 569 words in 2 minutes. 23 green balls to 41 blue balls. That would give me 23 dot dot 41. Simplifying ratios. So since ratios are like fractions, ratios can be simplified. So we're going to reduce it. So if I have the ratio 9 to 30, I would write it as a fraction first. And then to finish reducing it, I would look at what number divides evenly into both. So 9 divided by 3, well, that gives me 3. And 30 divided by 3, well, that gives me 10. Since they're both the same, I would call them equivalent. So I can say that 9 to 30 is equivalent to 3 to 10. And ratios that are equal to each other are called proportional because they are in proportion to each other. This whole multiplying their timesing by the same value, that's what makes them proportional. All right, let's solve. The recipe that we're going to look at today, it calls for 3 cups of flour to 1 cup of milk. So let's write a ratio of flour to milk. And let's see, I've got 3 cups of flour, 1 cup of milk. So let's write our ratio here. So flour to milk is going to be 3 to 1. And now if I want to write a proportion to show the flour to milk ratio, if it is doubled, so remember doubled means times 2. So instead of 3 over 1, 3 times 2 gives me 6. 1 times 2 gives me 2. If I want to triple it, remember tripling means times 3. So my 3 to 1 becomes 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 3 gives me 3. Now let's do some solving. So now I want to figure out that the ratio of the width of a television screen to its height is 4 to 3. So I know my width, the height is going to be 4 to 3. And then my question says, what is the height? So what is the height? So I'm going to put my X there when I have a width of 32. So my width is going to be 32. Now, in order to solve this proportion, I'm certainly going to want to do some algebra. There's a wide variety of ways that you can think about doing this. My preference when I've got a fraction equals a fraction like this is to do cross multiplication. So I'm going to say x equals 3 times 32 all over 4. 3 times 32 divided by 4. Well, 4 goes into 32 8 times. 8 times 3 gives me 24. So in this scenario, the height is 24 inches. Don't forget your units, please, people. All right, example 5. The ratio of the length of the Canadian flag to its width is 2 to 1. What is the length of the Canadian flag that is 24 centimeters wide? So again, we're going to set it up. Let's talk about, I always write down my words first because otherwise it can get confusing. So I know my length to my width. So my length is 2 to 1. And then I want to know what is the length. And length, remember, is up in my numerator. This is why the words are so helpful. That is 24 centimeters wide. So my width is 24. Again, I'm going to use cross multiplication here. So I look for the two numbers that are diagonal from each other. So I know that x is going to be equal to 2 times 24 divided by the number that's across from my x, which is 1. 2 times 24 gives me 48. Therefore, the length is 48 centimeters. Good. Example 6. If the human body burns 102 calories for every 10 minutes of swimming, calculate how many calories it will burn in 1 hour of swimming. Ooh, we got a few things going on in here. So first off, let's set this up. Calories to minutes is 102 for every 10 minutes. And then I want to figure out how many calories, and I'm putting that in the numerator because that's where all my calories are being kept. It will burn in 1 hour. So remember, 1 hour is the same thing as 60 minutes. So that'll go in my minutes row. All right, and then we're going to cross multiply. So I look to see who's diagonal from each other. So in this case, there's my diagonal numbers. X is 102 times 60, all divided by the number that's across from the x, so 10. So my answer in this scenario is 612. Therefore statement, you always do a therefore statement with a written one. Therefore, you burn 612 calories in 1 hour. Good. All right. So there's proportions. Here's some homework. I want you to try it. Measurement conversions. So it drives me absolutely bonkers in science when I ask students to do some conversions and they have no idea what they're doing. So we're going to make sure we do an example of that one. So the imperial system is a measurement system that's still used in industry and the trades, and it makes for excellent conversion questions because it's tricky. The metric system, you just move the decimal place, but in the imperial system, you got to do a lot more thinking with numbers. So we're going to do some conversions between feet, inches, in yards, and miles. So hopefully you at least know that 1 foot is 12 inches. 1 yard is 3 feet, so 3 times 12, that means it's equal to 36 inches, and 1 mile is 1,760 yards. So to get that in feet, oh dear, let's do a little multiplication here. 1,760 times, well, there's 3 feet in a yard, so 1,760 times 3 gives me 5,280. See, not easy memorization questions, but excellent math conversion questions. So let's do a few examples here. I want to convert 60 feet into yards. So to do this, I'm going to set myself up some ratios here. I'm just going to switch off the red for a second. And I want to know 60 feet is how many yards. So I'm doing a proportion between feet and yards. So to figure this out, well, let's see. How many feet and yards are in each other? I have 1 yard is 3 feet. So I'm going to put the 3 feet up top so that when my feet are beside each other. And then I'm going to put my 1 yard in the bottom. And that's what I'm trying to solve for, is my x yards. Let's see here. I've got 60 over x, 3 over 1. Let's do a little cross multiply here. So x is 60 times 1 divided by 3. And 60 divided by 3 is 20. So 60 feet is the same thing as 20 yards. So you just have to divide it by 3. Nice. All right. Let's try another one. Here I'm doing inches to feet. So inches to feet. Remember, I've got 12 inches in 1 foot. Oops, that's a T. And I'm being given that I have 62 inches, and I want to find it in feet. Again, let's do a quick little cross multiply. Numbers that are diagonal from each other. X equals 1 times 62 divided by the number across from the x, which is 12. So x equals 62 divided by 12, which is 5.17. 5. Oops. Nope. 5.16. So therefore, what did I say? 5.16 feet in 62 inches. There's some homework conversions for you to try. Right, percents. We can use proportion to solve problems involving percent. So percent is just another ratio. It's always a fraction with a denominator of 100. Percent shows up in questions all the time, so let's just recap it and make sure we're awesome at percents. First question, what percent is 28 of 40? Oh goodness. Okay, so what percent means out of 100, is means equals 28 of 40. So the 40 is what my total is. So decoding these is very important. Once I've decoded it, oh look, what percent is 28 of 40? Now I can cross multiply and I can solve. So we end up with x is 100 times 28 divided by 40. Oops. Okay, so let's solve that. 100 times 28, 100 times 28 divided by 40 gives me an answer of 70. So that means 70% is my answer. All right. How about 88 is 20% of what number? Okay, let's look at B. So 88 is 20% of what number? So this is telling me that 88 is 20% of what number? So when I see those words, that means I'm looking for the total. So 88 out of what is 20%? Let's cross multiply here. So we get x is 88 times 100 divided by 20. So we're just cross multiplying again. Find our numbers that are diagonal from each other. They go up top. The one diagonal from the x is what we're dividing everything by. Good. So 88 times 100 divided by 20 should give us a total of 440. So therefore, it's out of 440. That's our total. All right, third version, last but not least, we've got what is 25% of 500. All right, we can do this. Let's do this. What is 25%? So 25% of, so that of means our total. So my total is down here, which means what am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for the part. I know the total is 500. I need to know what that 25% is. Let's cross multiply. X is 25 times 500, all divided by 100. So what is that? 25 times 500 divided by 100 equals 125. Therefore, 25% of 500 is 125. Well done. Okay, so you've got some homeworks. Where you go.